Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today we have our second lab. We start having a small experiences using Hadoop. And also at the end of the class, we would have Shashank, one of your alumni. So he would come and talk about his experiences and some application of big data in his own job. Any questions from previous classes, homework, assignment? So I already graded your first assignment. Some you got 0, but the due date is end of today. So if you submit by end of today, your grade would be changed. Also, some of you didn't get 100, but still you have time. So you can just change a little bit and change it to 100. Okay, so let's talk about today's experience. So first of all, we run a VirtualBox. So VirtualBox has two sections. So you run a virtual computer that is connected to a Hadoop ecosystem. So also we have two kinds of experiences. First, through a Ambari dashboard. So using Ambari dashboard, working with the Hadoop ecosystem would be something similar to Windows. So you can drag and drop and your life is much more easier. However, your flexibility is low. Not too low, but it's kind of low. And you're limited to the visual applications that Ambari would provide for you. So also we have a command prompt experiences. So we connect to the Hadoop to the virtual environment, including Hadoop, through a command prompt. So, okay, then we work with the sample database. The database name is MovieLens. I provided through my GitHub, and just click on this link. So Control press Enter. So this is a database about reviews on movies. Is 100,000 ratings on 1682 movies. And each user at least had 20 reviews. Review numbers changing from 1 to 5. So we will work with two tables. One is the u.data. It includes 100,000 ratings that is made by 943 users. It means that some users has more than one, and actually each at least had 20 reviews. Could be 20 or more. Okay, so it has 4 columns: user ID, item ID or movie ID, the rating from 1 to 5, and timestamp. So the timestamp would be in the computer format, not human format. So you see a very large digit. Also, we work with the u.item. It has movie ID, movie title, release date, video release date, IMDb URL, one unknown column, and also some other columns related to movie type. For example, if it's action, you see 1. If it's action adventure, both of them would be 1, and maybe the remaining would be 0. Okay, so first step, please download this file. And let me just, I think it's in my deck. Let me just download by myself. I put it in my GitHub, but it's a free data set because sometimes those websites change the link. So I'm pretty sure my GitHub would be pretty safe. So I won't change it. For you, if you want to see this file, just right-click, go to Open With, and Notepad is or any text editor would open it to you. So press, you can click always use this app and then press OK. So as you see, we have 4 columns: user ID, movie ID, the rating from 1 to 5, and also timestamp. So timestamp is in digit, is in the computer format. So instead of, let's say, saying that 12th of August 12th, 1984, it will be converted to a number. So if you work with the whole, I'm pretty sure you are very familiar with Python. So there's some packages that you can convert it to the human format that is easy to read for the human. So it's the one. The second one, u.item. So as you see, the first one is Toy Story human date format. So it's, instead of a large number, you see actual day and month, link, and based on the movie type. So as you see, it has 3 genres of movies, and the remaining are 0. So as I said, at the end of semester, you should be able to bring some data in the Hadoop environment, be able to run some programs, and it will be your final project. But let's first have experiences and understanding how to bring the data. So first step is you should learn how to bring the data in the Hadoop ecosystem. Then, you learn some programming and basically run on top of the programs. Okay. Just open your VirtualBox, and here, press on show. So just, it might take few minutes for you to see this black page. I give you a couple of minutes to open your VirtualBox and reach this point. Depends on your system. It might take more than 2 minutes, but usually it won't take more than that. And as I said, most of your class is basically kind of a lab class because it's almost one of your last courses. So instead of memorizing things, you should be able to do something. So I don't ask you to just explain me what's that, what is this. You should be, your evaluation is mostly based on what can you do. Okay, one of your friends asked me to enable transcript, and I say it's a cool thing. Is it annoying for you or not? The transcript is annoying? No. Okay. You said at first I said it's shaking. I was saying, okay, yeah. Let me wait a little more. So by the way, since it's a very heavy system, last year, the thing that happened last year, when I tried to record my voice, it makes some noises because this is a really heavy program. So I apologize in advance for the friends over Zoom if my voice won't be that much great for them. But you have some friends are in the class, so hopefully you can ask them later if there is some issues with the voice. Okay, I said with the voice, it said with divorce. So sometimes the transcript is not great. Okay, so no worries if you cannot follow me, or if your system is too low. So I put all the steps on the PowerPoint, which is posted on Moodle. So if you miss some or your computer is slow, you can just keep following the PowerPoint. So next step, do you see one address here? Localhost 1080. Mostly it's same address on your system. But if after localhost you have another address, you should type another thing. But most likely for all of you, it should be 1080. So if it's same, you can just come here, copy, open browser, paste. Then you click on, please, click on Launch Dashboard. One thing might happen for many of you. You might get this after clicking on Launch Dashboard. I already signed in, but most likely you should, since I run the system before coming to class, you don't see this sign-in page. But after you click on Launch Dashboard, you probably see such a page, and then put Maria underline DEV for both username and password. But keep in mind, if your system is slow, you might get this error, 502 gateway error. If there is nothing wrong with you, you should just wait a few more minutes. So, and after that, you can enter username and password and get to this page. So since you might use different system, I wait a little bit so everybody could catch up. And if you have any questions, you can ask me meanwhile. So again, if you see any error, like especially 502 gateway, it's most likely your system needs more time to be able to load. People over Zoom, if you have any questions, you can use your mic or put in the chat room. So I see, again, I see my transcript here, but it seems some of it just miss or make a mistake for some of them. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Sure. So if everything loads properly, everything would be green. But still, it's a really heavy platform. So most likely you see such a thing, many red ones. You might wait a little more. So I would, for this step, I would a little slow. You can do something manually. For example, starting from HDFS, just click, for example, just click on HDFS first, then on service actions, press start. So let me show it to you on my system. So as you see, I ran it 30 minutes ago. Still, I have so many reds. Maybe you can first go to HDFS, service action. It's already started. So, but you probably press start. It's better start from Zookeeper. Should be first. Maybe then HDFS.
I saw someone like send a message on our Telegram. This chat cannot put some picture or shoot.
Is it on Telegram?
On Telegram.
Okay, let me first say that, then I check. Let me see. Okay, one of your friends asked about, yeah, that's normal thing. I just saw the question. So let's say your HDFS is red, select HDFS, go to the service action, press start. For me, my map reduces, I have some warning. So I click on it, service action is already started. For me, since I started like 30 minutes ago, for me, almost all of them is running. But they got deactivated. So let me just close this one.
I click HDFS and it said already started, so I cannot push the start button. Is that?
Yeah, it's already started. So let me just show it to you again. So here, launch dashboard. I mean, you either start it manually or just wait. It's just a very heavy platform, so probably you cannot do that much of thing. So let me see. I got some warning. Playing. Yes. Okay. For example, now my Hive got green again. The rest is still loading. So, okay, this class we don't work with them. I just wanted to show you. So, no worries if you see almost all of them are red. Just means just takes a lot of time to load. I just waited like, I think for 30 minutes. Still, some of them are not running completely. Look, after a while, now my yarn is green, Hive is green, Aussie, Ranger, Spark, they're getting green gradually. Again, if you are not like happy and you want to run some of them faster, just select one, go to service section. Now, do you see my start button? Instead of waiting, I'm just saying, okay, I push it. I push to start. So now it's keep starting. You see? Okay, let me wait a little bit. So because your systems might be different. So I want you guys at least get some of them green, so you won't be freaked out. But you didn't do any mistake if all of them is red. And this is like a third-party dashboard, and you have some limitations in terms of working with them. So later on, we work with the open source Hadoop ecosystem, so you have much more control. For now, we just wait. So because it's a third-party dashboard. I think I put the explanation here. So for example, here I said how to push a start for some of the applications. If you have some programs running in the background of your PC, maybe if you exit them, it helps your PC to run Hadoop better. I don't have anything. Maybe the only thing that's running in the background is Zoom, so I don't want to close it. But you have some extra programs running here. Please just close them so your computer hopefully would work with the Hadoop ecosystem better. As you see now, almost most of them, yeah, just few of them are red. But anyway, so let's working with the Ambari dashboard and upload our data into Hadoop ecosystem. So I put the steps here. So first, unzip ml100k.zip. Then, do you see this rectangle here. When I hover my mouse over it, you see some option. So click on Files View. Let's see. It might take a little bit to be loaded. Okay. Then our username and password was Marriott_DV. So let me just see. Fine. Yeah. So go to users here. Click on it. Then click on Marriott_DV. Okay, so let me make it larger. I'm not sure. Okay, this is some buttons here, like new on the top right, new folder, select R. Click on new folder and just make a random name. I just make the same folder name, but you can just put any name that you like. So now I'm just creating a folder name, ML-100K. Add. Look. So the folder is here. Then I click on it. I'm now inside the folder that I just created. Again, if you missed any steps, you can either ask me a question or go back to the PowerPoint. So you can see I put all the steps here. So I have a lot of pause today because most of you actually over Zoom. I'm not sure what they are doing. So let me just be a little slow today. Okay, after getting into the folder that I just created, so the folder is under users, MariaDev. Go to upload, press on it. I think you're familiar with this kind of thing. You can either browse, click on it, and browse the files on your system and upload it, or you just select u.item and u.data, drag, and drop them here. You should do one by one. So first I bring u.item, then upload. Again, I select u.data, drag, upload. Both are here. Let's do some practices. Let's say if we can change the data name. So just select one of the files. As you see, we have rename, delete, copy, download. So we already uploaded and copied. So maybe we can do rename. So rename, instead of u.items, I just put movies. Or any name you want. So for renaming, you need to use some tool set. Right now, there is no tool set here. But when I click on a file name, I see the tool set up here. Select rename. And just a random name. Let me just put a goofy name, hello. You can put more meaningful name, but just want to show you what can you do. So do you see any edit option that you can edit inside the file? So there is no option for that. So it's one of the characteristics of Hadoop ecosystem. You cannot edit the file. So it's not built for editing the files. It's just built for uploading the data and handling a large amount of data. So if you want to edit a specific file, you should edit on your own system or somewhere in the cloud, but not inside Hadoop ecosystem. Hadoop ecosystem is just built for handling and managementing, and just basically you pile all your data somewhere and edit it. So usually in the industry, your data is much larger than this. This is like just a small data for practice. So I just rename it. So for example, hello, just select, rename, users, rename. So you can rename it, you can delete them, you can change permission in the read and write, but you cannot edit inside the file. So however, on my system, I can go use.data, right click, open with Notepad. See, I can change it, right? But you don't have this privilege over Hadoop ecosystem. Yeah. Is it the same for all of you? You cannot upload? I can. Okay. Do you have any antivirus things like for computer doing that? Is it cannot add it directly when you want to add it? What do I use? So I can, so like I'm stuck at a step before that. So if I look at the files and files, and but when I try to upload the thing, so when I try to upload the folder, just like you give me a message. So both of your default language is English, or I think your default. No, your default. Yeah. English. And it was giving like I had an error someplace. I was trying to Google to find what I could do to fix it. Yeah. I was getting this error message, which looks like I'm missing some write permission some, but I don't know how to fix that. And trying to figure out where I keep myself. What's your specialty? Select your folder for the user. So, but it's not the case for him. So, yeah. Oh, what is the second way? Select this one. No, just select one. What all the permission? Okay, you can permission. Select all of them. Okay, now, yeah, offload now. Now, right. Yeah, this is something wrong with your local folder. Because you know it has okay. So just see if you go click on right here. Can you read Russian? Okay, I can change the default language to English. I guess it could be also I don't see those, I cannot see those things.
Okay, you use open with Notepad or just Notes?
Notepad. I think the Mac should be somewhere, but it should be text editing. And even for I think Word document, Word, Microsoft Word could do it, I guess. Okay, just one more practice. Select this folder and you can just delete. Press delete. You can either send it to trash or delete forever. So I don't care, so I just delete it forever. Okay, second experiment, we want to reach to that point through command prompt. So as I showed here, one we use Ambari dashboards. The second one, we work with the our virtual system and Hadoop ecosystem through command prompt, which is most likely in the future you do that. It gives, especially for industrial jobs, you need more flexibility. Okay, so this is the overall process. We copy the data into, let's say it's most likely for the startup companies. Let's say you have a contract with Amazon, so you copy your data over Amazon Cloud, and in Amazon, they copied your data in multiple locations. I think depends on the service that you want to use. You can identify how many centers or how many nodes you want. So if you say you ask 5 nodes, the Amazon AWS copy your data 5 times. And over the cloud, you do your process and get the data back. And we do it in one of your assignments. Actually, we do that. We connect to Amazon AWS, we ask for nodes, then process the data and get the results back. So for such cases, Amazon run big data infrastructure, Hadoop and Spark in the background, so it's much easier and they charge you for that, so they handle the background. So for this case, you need a very large bandwidth because let's say you ask Amazon for a very large process. If it's like few gigabytes or some terabytes, still maybe you can do on your system. So let's say you want to process 100 terabytes of the data. So you should be able to load that amount of data over Amazon. So bandwidth is a really challenging thing For your class project, you don't have to work with a very large data set, because at the end we want to see if you're able to process it. So maybe if you get job somewhere and in that location, you upload a very, very large data set. Okay, these are the main challenges for any big data processes. Availability, we talk about that. Data consistency. So we might you copy your data multiple locations, so each location should have exact same data. Synchronizing the processing, bandwidth, failures, or cascading failures. It just means multiple failures together. So, okay, so what Hadoop does, basically, this is similar to operating system, but it's not. Or maybe you can say, if you don't want to be very correct, you can consider it like operating system that manage so much physical units, send the request, manage the copies, get the results back. So when you ask Amazon to do a big data process for you, they have their own version of Hadoop and Spark. So with the Hadoop, they manage your data, they run the processes and get the results back. Let's say you work in a highly secure organization. Sometimes, or many times, they don't want to outsource their processes to Amazon or Google. Maybe they want to invest more and do it internally. So in those cases, they need a Hadoop engineer who can run the codes and just manage those nodes and be able to run those processes. And this course, you learn some important parts of Hadoop. So you don't have to rely on Amazon. You run the Hadoop from the core side. So you would have some core experience of the Hadoop. Hadoop has two major parts or two main components, which is, obviously a storage system, Hadoop Distributed File System, or HDFS, and processing part. The processing part, we call it MapReduce, or more extensively, map, sort, and reduce, or map, shuffle, reduce. I explain later. So basically, the Hadoop that you would learn, make multiple copies of your data in multiple nodes, take care of synchronization. Also, let's say two nodes got broken. Hadoop can figure out how to use other nodes and how to synchronize all the processes, and they get the results back to you. So later, you run Python code over Hadoop ecosystem. So your Python code communicates with the Hadoop, and Hadoop run those Python processes over multiple nodes. So we go one step under Python. So we get more to the core side. I just talk about fault tolerance, which just means how, let's say, the major point of using Hadoop is running multiple processes on multiple nodes. What happens is, let's say, half of them cannot communicate, maybe bandwidth, even power issues. So this is one of the major advantages of Hadoop or HDFS system. Okay. Any questions so far? So if I make it much easier and much in a very naive way, is like you work with the Python and want to learn how your Windows works. It's not exactly correct, but I just want to simplify things. So right now, each unit of the HDFS, which is again Hadoop Distributed File System, it is 100 megabytes. They are going to increase it. but the general standard is 100 megabytes. It run over some Unix style system. So later when we work with the Hadoop codes, so you can see it's very similar to some Unix code if you have some experiences. One thing about the Hadoop and what makes it different from other file systems. Other file systems, when you copy your data in the location, you can modify it. Maybe you add or remove some parts. But in Hadoop, you never modify. It's just like a dump location that you dump your data somewhere, but in the way that you can manage it. So you can just retrieve your data and process it. So let's say if you want to edit some part of your data, you just load it, edit it, and copy it somewhere else. Can we talk about scalability? So basically, Hadoop first was developed by Google. Then through the Apache project, they made it publicly available. So right now, there is so many people, maybe you in the future, they work on the Hadoop ecosystem, and through the Apache project, they just add or remove some part, they try to improve. So Hadoop is now publicly available, and many companies are running. So Databricks, Amazon, Google itself, and so many other companies are developing Hadoop right now.
Are these called mainframes that you find at data centers and stuff?
Yeah, you can find them. I mean, this is again a simplified version of it. So, I mean, I am pretty sure if you get hired in Amazon or Google, maybe like there's large inventory, but this is the overall structure. So you may not see exact same shape, something like this, but even if this is as big as this classroom, so still they have one section is the master node and we have some data nodes.
Master node is just controlling all the
yeah. So master node, maybe you don't need the expensive master node because it doesn't do the process. You just send the process and just overview all those data nodes. But your data nodes are probably expensive because they run the actual process. Yeah. I've seen some videos. I've seen something exactly similar to this mainframe thing, but I mean they are evolving, and probably some companies they have different shapes. But I mean the overall structure is like just one master and some slaves, or you have one master who runs different applications. So you have some application manager nodes. That's a good question. Yeah. Actually, I have seen exactly the same shape too, but
I think they need to count. I don't think I've seen or is that Intel Xeon inside. They will have the processor. I don't know. It looks similar to that.
Good thing, yeah. Okay. Let's not talk too much for today. So, so we talk about this is our kind of first lab, but not very hard lab. So I ask you to install some platforms for as one of your assignments. So here I put the solution, but let me just go back. The solution is one of some of your last slides. So I updated this figure. So it might be one question. Yeah, one of the question, your friend's question is about, do we use Python to sort the data? Yes, in one of your labs, we use Python to run the map reduce by yourself, but it's not very practical. So if you don't use Hadoop ecosystem, you should sort and do the map reduce by yourself. And it's very complicated, very time consuming, and it's not fun. So in that lab, you learn that instead of doing everything from scratch, maybe you can use Hadoop ecosystem that save a lot of time. But yeah, we have the experience of running MapReduce by ourselves. So instead of having expensive map node, master node and data nodes, we have a virtual like map node and data nodes. And you do MapReduce over a virtual environment. And later we work, the actual environment we use, like, we also use AWS. This is actual environment, but it's over cloud, so you don't see it. Okay, so installing Horton HDP over VirtualBox or VMware takes a lot of time, but I put all the steps here. So after installing VirtualBox, which I think is pretty straightforward, you just download next, and that's it, right? Shouldn't be very difficult for you. The whole of installation, I run it today. It took like about 40 minutes. So I don't expect you to finish, right? If you can finish, that would be awesome, but I don't think so. So first step, as you see here, you import. There is other ways, you don't have to follow me. Even if you Google it, there is, I think, one more way of installing Hadoop Horton over VirtualBox. But just the way that I did, I click import here. Then there's, let me just maximize it. Then do you see a small yellow button? This is the browse section. I browsed and found HTTP 2.65. Then I open it. The remaining is straightforward. Next. See what I did. So I have 4 CPUs, but I don't want to allocate all of my CPUs for this thing because I'm running other things in the background. So I changed it to 2. But for RAM, I have 32 gigabytes, so I have too much of RAM. So the default is 8. You can, if your laptop is, fine with 8 is okay, but maybe you can increase to 12 or 16. Just see how much RAM you have on your system. And just the amount of RAM you dedicate should be less than your actual RAM. So if your system has 16 RAMs, make it 12 or 8. But the default is 8,000 megabytes or 8 gigabytes of RAM. So I changed the default to 16 and CPU from 4 to 2. Then again, the remaining is just next. Okay, this step might take like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And after these steps, it depends on your system and the internet speed that you have. So you have Horton SandBox HTTP over VirtualBox. The next is just a start. So you click start. This step, I think, took like 30 minutes from me. So this step, after starting your first time HTTP, you might think you have some mistake and your system is not running. If your internet is very slow, it might take 1 hour because in this step, it just downloads so many files, so it might take a lot of time. Yeah, might take up to 1 hour. But as you see, I didn't do anything. Just the most important part, click on import. The remaining just next. Here I change the default. Again, next, and the start. So the overall process is easy, but this step, you might get disappointed because your VirtualBox and Hadoop doesn't do anything for a long time. So you might think you made a mistake, but that's okay. Again, you can do it now, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you cannot finish it. If you can, it means you have a really good system. So if you've got some issues, just let me know. Over my office hours or over Telegram, we can just see how can I help you. If you see this picture, which you see for VirtualBox, this is your address. For VMware, this is your address. It means you installed correctly. So the default username and password is Maria_DEV. So let me show you what happens. Okay, now I installed correctly. So I click on start. Even now it takes time. So again, if you see, so some part of installation, your system doesn't do anything, but in the background, it does so many things. So no worries if you make, I'm pretty sure you never make a mistake. Just might be your system takes a lot of time to process it. This is, here we are using Horton. We are using Horton platform. This is a private company. Sometimes, even in the middle of your assignments, you get some random errors because we are using a free version of a paid software. So that's okay. So even in future, if you see some errors, sometimes you just need to wait for 2 hours because it connects to a server in the Horton. Sometimes their server has issues, so you get some random error. So in this code, never get disappointed. Probably you never make a mistake. Sometimes a private company is in the background and they have issues. But later we go over open source version of Hadoop. So in that, when we get to open version, you don't see any error or you never get frustrated because everything is done by yourself. So hopefully we don't make any mistakes. So look at here, I've used VirtualBox. So it said welcome screen is HTTP localhost 1080. So localhost 1080. So just type the thing that you see in the screen. Most likely you don't see that today, but just see this is in the welcome screen. You would see that. And I post this video later, so nobody don't need to memorize it. So launch new to HTTP launch dashboard. I got one error. So even now, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't connect to the server for some random. I told you, I mean, before your class I run it, it worked. Right now it doesn't. So let me just. Usually you don't see the error, but I'm not sure for some reason. Let's see, change it to. So this is bad connection, so it cannot connect to the server. So in those cases, you might wait for a couple of hours. Sometimes many people connect at the same time, so it just gives those errors. So even if you see such a thing, you are good. Probably there's something wrong in the background. But as I said later, we install the open source version, so you don't see any gateway issue and error. So, but if you see such a screen, it just means you are good. But last time it pop-up block, please disable pop-up blocker. But right before your class, it worked. So let's see, settings. Extensions. It's already disabled. Let me do it in Firefox. But let me even remove it. Okay, I removed it. There's a heavy, so I cannot open up Firefox. Okay, so let's see if it works over Firefox or not. Okay, for some reason it worked over Firefox, not my Chrome. Maybe because of the pop-up blockers, but again, so MariaDev is the username and password, sign in. Ambari is the Indian name, word or not? It seems from Indian, Ambari. What does it mean in Hindu? I'm not sure. So as you see, I mean, I know you cannot finish now. So you might see some red signs here. It just means it's just running different services. So it might take 20 minutes to all of them get green. It just means if they are not loaded yet. So that's it. I mean, so for your first assignment, install, as you see, I have 27 errors. I mean, or warning. These are warnings. So just process, whatever. Okay, so your first assignment, to go to the lab one. Yes, sometimes you should just wait for them. Okay. So install VirtualBox, install Hortonworks data platforms. And if you're a Windows user, install Putty. Otherwise, if you're a Mac user, just take a picture from your desktop. So I understand you're a Mac user, you don't have to install. So you copy and paste 3 pictures in a Word file and just send it to me. I mean, not to me, actually, upload it on Moodle. It would be your assignment. Again, this up to this point might take 1 hour, even if you already download everything. So if we downloading HTTP might take 2 hours for you to reach to this point. And for some minutes, maybe you don't see anything, but there's a lot of processes in the background. Any questions so far? Okay, let me wait for your friends over Zoom to see if they have questions.
No, Professor, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, I wait 1 minute for them. I think I already taught you too much and too many technical terms for today. So from next class, first we look over not using Hadoop and doing everything from scratch by ourselves, doing MapReduce by ourselves. And you might see that's a lot of headache and takes forever. So instead, we use Hadoop and we use basically a Horton's Hadoop. So Horton used, let me just go over my Firefox. So there's 2 ways of working with Hadoop. Use the open source, which is in future, maybe you have to, that's much reliable and you manage everything. Another one using a paid version like Horton version or AWS version or Google version. So basically they made a dashboard like here. So instead of coding everything, you can use those dashboards to make your life much easier. It's like, have you ever worked with MS-DOS or Linux? Yeah. So in MS-DOS or Linux, you type all the commands, copy this to that location, do this, run this application. You have to type. But instead of using Linux, you can, or I mean, instead of using command prompt in general, you can use Windows. So you just drag, drop. So it just makes your life easier. So for next few classes, we don't want to stuck in coding. We want to see what's the differences of coding everything by yourself or using an application or dashboard like Horton Ambari. Then, okay, let's see. Then then we work with the Amazon version of Hadoop. Then also we do we install the local version of Hadoop on your system and do on your system too, and you see some differences of them. Okay, there's a question. When I open the VirtualBox, I cannot see the open address. Okay, let me turn off my VirtualBox. First of all, this is an assignment, but I don't want to make you upset. So for some of your assignment, I don't show you the solution. I ask you to Google and find the solution. Even for this one, you can easily Google, and there's so much of YouTube video, you can see how to install Horton in VirtualBox. So step by step, I make your life harder, sorry, but it's the way that you learn. So for this assignment, I gave you the solution, but keep in mind, for some assignment, you should figure it by yourself because there's a ton of technology. If you don't have time, just go teach everything. But okay, after working, I just go to machine and ACPI shutdown. It's better to close it in this way. Otherwise, in the long term, you might get several errors. So okay, when you first time you open the VirtualBox, your VirtualBox is different. You don't see this. You see some like import option. So you click on the import, then take the downloaded Horton HTTP on your system. So it's different.
So if you get this page, like this is getting, that means you're okay with it.
If you get this page, it means you're okay. But again, first time you start, it takes like 40 minutes to install.
Because, okay, I didn't do the import part and anything, and it just came out this way.
But that's okay. I mean, I think you can click on new, and that's okay. I said there's a different way of getting to this. I mean, yeah, that's okay. I mean, there's not just one way. Even for your assignment, you might see different ways of doing your assignment, and all the ways are correct. Yeah, for assignment 1, you need to submit 3 screenshots of each platform. If you're a Mac user, one of your screenshots is just your desktop. So I can see you're a Mac user, you don't have PuTTY. But I mean, I already put my way of installing Horton HTTP. If you are not happy with that, you're not comfortable, I mean, there's 2 ways. One is just watching it again, or you can just simply Google how to install Horton HTTP over VirtualBox, and there's so much of other videos that you can follow. Okay, is there any other questions from you guys or people over Zoom? Let's see. I don't see any questions. Okay, one part of this class even right now for the installation, you have some questions, but when we go further, you run codes, you might see so much of hassle, you're stuck somewhere, that's okay. So no worries. This is a technology course. And you know, I don't go too much inside of like concepts, because I don't think somebody would hire you for just understanding what is big data. They want you guys to run something and get some results. So most of your learning this course is just for stuck in somewhere, having some issues, and trying to figure out difference of way of doing same jobs. Okay, I think it's too much for today. So please keep working on your assignments. Again, you have so far in the first week, you have 3 assignments, but you don't have to submit all of them. So assignment 1 is your introduction. Lab assignment, I already gave you the solution. And for second assignment, it's just you do by trial and error, and you have more than 2 weeks. So I think, although we have 3 assignments, but I don't think it's too bad. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Professor.
Thank you.
Thanks.